The diplomatic row over Gibraltar shows no sign of easing. Spain has said it won't back down over extra checks at the border there, despite the threat of legal action by the UK. Joining us now from Gibraltar is the country's Chief Minister, Fabian Picardo. Good morning to you. So, how worried are you about this ongoing tension?
Good morning. I don't think the people of Gibraltar feel worry when we see the way that Spain is reacting to us. We are quite used to seeing this sort of saber rattling once in a while from Spain. The issue for us is to see how we can actually deal with the issues that are being raised in the most appropriate way. Always remembering that the ordinary Spaniard that comes to Gibraltar to work and who comes to Gibraltar as a tourist is a friend of Gibraltar, and it's just this particularly belligerent right-wing Partido Popular government that is taking a completely unprecedentedly negative attitude to Gibraltar.
And what do you think the most appropriate way to deal with this is then? The UK government said to be considering legal action over the imposition of these extra border checks.
Well, I think that the way not to deal with international disputes is to create queues at borders which affect the elderly, the infirm and the young. I think the right thing to do is to either go to the international legal fora and tribunals that are established for that purpose. And I challenged Spain at the United Nations in October, and ever since I became Chief Minister, to take issues relating to Gibraltar waters to the international legal courts or to enter a political dialogue. Now, there is a trilateral forum for dialogue that the United Kingdom, Gibraltar and Spain agreed back in 2005-2006. Spain, or rather the Partido Popular, has unilaterally withdrawn from that process. The United Kingdom and Gibraltar have said repeatedly that we remain strongly committed to that process of dialogue. Spain wants to reinvent that process of dialogue, not the Spanish parliament, but the Spanish government, this particular Spanish government, because they don't like what the Spanish socialists agreed, which was this trilateral forum. They want a quadrilateral forum, which equates Gibraltar to a region of Spain.
What is it actually like on the border at the moment then? We were initially hearing about, lengthy queues for people to get through. What's the situation like at the moment with regards to crossing?
All quiet on the Western Front. This is just something that happens sporadically. For example, we monitor the queues on a daily basis in and out of Gibraltar, and what we've been seeing for the past 4 or 5 days is that there'll be a queue that is set up for about an hour, and if you calculate how long it's taken each car to get through, you may be told it's going to take the last car in that queue 2.5 hours. But there haven't been queues for longer than an hour since David Cameron banged the table and made clear to his Spanish counterpart that this was unacceptable. But they are still playing games.
Now, there have been spats about this ongoing for some time. There have been previous disputes. How is this one different? Is this an escalation, do you think?
Well, I think that there is a very obvious cause for why the Spanish government, and in particular Mr. Margallo, the least diplomatic of the Spanish foreign ministers in history, having raised the temperature as much as they have sought to do. Remember that we had an unprovoked attack on a Gibraltarian jet skier in British waters by a Spanish Guardia Civil vessel just a couple of weeks before the whole action began, and the United Kingdom actually sought an investigation from Spain into that event. But what is happening in the background is that the Spanish government is being engulfed in allegations of corruption which affect Mr. Rajoy himself. And I think what we are seeing is a little bit like what Mr. Galtieri deployed in Argentina in 1982, which was an attempt to bang the nationalistic drum to make people look away from the national problems that Spain is suffering and that the Prime Minister himself is laboring under. There's an important court case going on in Madrid tomorrow involving senior members of the Partido Popular Party giving evidence about all of these corruption allegations. Imagine a British Prime Minister who it is alleged there is evidence of having received extra money and not having paid tax on for the past 20 years. He wouldn't last 5 minutes. And yet in Spain, we see that Mr. Rajoy remains comfortably in post, trying to create diversions like this one.
How worried are you about where all this is heading, though? If you had to look ahead and predict how this was going to be resolved, what would you say?
No, again, as I tell you, I don't think the people of Gibraltar worry when there is a dispute with Spain of this sort, because we've lived through so many. Remember, Gibraltar has been under siege almost since the year in which it was ceded by Spain under the Treaty of Utrecht, before it had been taken by conquest by the United Kingdom. There's a very popular group that are doing a play this month in Gibraltar called The Siege, because this is how Gibraltar feels that it lives constantly. This is actually turning out to be an excellent opportunity to explain to the world world, the reality of what happens in Gibraltar every day. And I hope Mr. Margallo is true to his word and we do get this matter into international legal fora, because in a fair international court, Gibraltar will win game, set and match.
That's Fabian Picardo, the country's chief minister, speaking from Gibraltar. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.